Okay, so hello everybody. I've got two people with me today. One of them is my wonderful co-host for this episode, Harriet. Harriet, hello.
Hello.
So Harriet and I have known each other for what, God, a good 7, 8, maybe 9 years now.
I think it's about 7 or 8 years now, yeah.
And as everybody knows, for this series throughout June, it's all about LGBT. It's all about being proud. And Harriet is one of my biggest supporters, and that I could put up on a plinth as my ally is. But we are joined by the wonderful Divina de Campo. How are you?
Well, hello. I'm absolutely fabulous. Of course. I've been locked in my bedroom for 8 weeks. I'm loving my life.
For someone who's been locked in their bedroom for 8 weeks, you're certainly looking fabulous, my darling.
Well, I've had a lot of time to put this on my face, you see.
I love it. Oh, amazing. So we're going to go straight into this, and I'm going to say, Divina de Campo, I can't believe I'm saying this. What is your career story?
Is it A? Okay, well, I mean, I should start at the beginning, shouldn't I? Because that is apparently a very good place to start. So really, my first job from uni, I'd been to uni and done a degree in dance with drama. That's what it ended up being, rather than dance and drama, because I'd done music electives, so it had to become with rather than and. I mean, what a very interesting story that is. So after university, I went to North Wales. I started working in Anglesey, and I was the dance practitioner for Anglesey. The dance development officer was my proper title, but really I was a practitioner. You know, I wasn't in charge. I just went and taught classes, rolled around on the floor and went, yeah, come on, guys, great. Put some money in the pocket. Yeah, so that was where I sort of started. And just before I finished university, I met my now husband. And he is the one who got me started doing drag, really. So I'd been in Wales doing the do in Wales for a while, earning absolutely no money. Like, I was literally earning beans. You know, I was a dance practitioner. There's no money in dance. There's never been any money in dance. There never will be any money in dance. That's just how it is. So I was living hand to mouth in Wales, and he said, look, you know, you're a bit funny, but you can sing and you can dance. So have you thought about doing drag? And I was like, well, no, I haven't really. I'd done bits of stuff at university, but I hadn't really done it seriously. You know, I hadn't thought of it as a career option. I was far too artsy. I wanted to be making real work, real art, things that were going to change people's lives and help them live better ones. And, you know, that was unrealistic, let's be honest. So I started doing drag there, and actually my first performance ever in drag was in Betty's Coed, which is a little mining village just at the foot of Snowdon.
Okay.
Right.
So I used to drive through Bettis all the time because I worked in one of the little villages further on from there. And my first ever performance was there, and I was in a blue borrowed cocktail frock, a borrowed headpiece, and powder. I didn't use foundation in those days. No, just a light dusting of powder.
Lovely.
Hideous.
Stunning.
Hideous. Oh my God. A dusting of powder, some blue eyeshadow, and some lipstick. And I sang some German lieder. So I sang Beadmug. And the pianist, I'd been saying for like 3 weeks, she needs to have this music. And they're going, no, she's an amazing pianist. She's really good. She can play piano really well. And I was like, this is a really hard piece. Like, she needs to see this music before she says she's going to play it. And they were like, no, she's sworn. She's told us she's amazing. It was like a Two Ronnies sketch. Like, it was just car crash, horrendous. Because the start of it goes like bum 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 bum, and it like spreads right from the bottom of the piano all the way to the top, dum 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 dum. We could play a fucking thing. Absolute dog shit. And it wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. It was, you know, it's just what it was. So those are my lowly beginnings as a drag artist. And then from there, I went from Wales, I went to Glossop and worked in a school as a dance practitioner for them. It was an experience. That's how I'll describe what happened there.
Expand on that.
I was like, don't leave it there. We need to know what happened.
I mean, I'm not saying that the school was rough, but fuck me, it was rough.
Fair.
It was so rough. But I learnt loads. Like, I learnt loads and loads and loads, especially about working with kids who are more challenging, I believe is the term that they use these days. Little shit is how I would describe them myself. So that was fun. And then while I was there, I auditioned for a dance company based in Barnsley. I mean, who'd have thought that there would have been such a thing in Barnsley, a dance company of all things? But there was, and I auditioned, and I got the job. And at the same time, I'm still doing drag every weekend. And so I went to Barnsley, and before I left the school, they said, oh, one of the worst schools we've ever worked in is where you're going. I'm not going to tell you the name of the school because I don't, you know, maybe it's changed, maybe it's wonderful now. And of course, what was the first school that I was working in? It was that school. So not only had I been in the roughest school I'd ever been in Glossop, I then went to the most rough school that any of those people had ever worked in, straight off the bat. I mean, that was an experience. That was great. I loved the work. We were doing TIE, so theatre and education stuff. That was great, travelling all around the north of England, and we did bits on the Isle of Man, and you know, it was great. The work was brilliant. Then I decided, oh, okay, probably time to move on from here. So I auditioned for another TIE thing, doing I was doing Shakespeare.
Ooh.
Oh, darling.
Ooh.
Syrian actor. The RAC, dear, they don't have anything on me. Absolutely not. Oh, God. The Bard, who's that? Try me, dear. Try me on for sign. So we did this, oh God, it was hell. It was absolute hell. We did this tour, and we were all over the UK. So we did Northern Ireland, we did Wales, we did all over England, and we did Scotland. And we didn't just do Scotland, we did like we did everywhere. So we were going from like Glasgow to Aberdeen in a day. You know, it was, yeah, massive journeys.
No.
Again, like, I love the work. Because I like the sort of aspect. I like the aspect of performing and then talking about it, you know, finding the teaching, where's the learning for that. So I really enjoy that sort of aspect of that. I just want to make sure that I turn off those in-call volume. Oh, ringtone down. I'll keep that up. There we go. Sorry, I'm just fixing my phone because I realised that it was ringing halfway through. Not very helpful in an interview situation, dear. So I fixed that. So that was horrendous. And we were working with, again, we were working with an actor who was very much an actor. Yeah.
An actor.
Lovely.
And I've been working all over, and I'm really, really great, guys. Okay. That's how he talked. Oh my God. He drove me up a bloody wall. He was horrendous. So, like, we had the best feedback of any team that had ever been out. We got 100% on all the feedback from all of the schools, you know, amazing feedback. But anything that could go wrong for us did. Costumes got lost, props broke, the sound system failed. They smashed up the car one night, turned up at the door, makeup down her face, crying, help me, help me. I was like, what the hell is going on? So that was an experience. And then after that, because that was a short contract, that was like 2 months. And after that, I sort of just drifted for like 6 months. I didn't really have anything substantial going on. And it had been the first time in my career, you know, I'd done sort of 3-4 years of working solidly. And this was the first time where I was like, okay, I'm just relying on bar work now. That's not ideal. And I, you know, I tried to do my best, and I did dance classes and fitness classes and stuff like that. But there wasn't really enough for me to kind of keep pushing forwards. And then a friend of mine messaged me saying, what do you think? Would you like to work out in Ibiza? A friend of a friend needs a drag queen for out in Ibiza. It's a 6-month contract. So you'll be in Ibiza for 6 months. And, you know, I'll get them to send you the details if you're interested. And I was like, yeah, I don't have a job. Like, I'm doing 3 nights in a bar. Of course I want to go and do that. So I spoke to my partner, and he was like, yes, go and do it. Absolutely. And the way we worked it was that he would just fly out every 2 weeks, spend a week, and then fly home.
Brilliant.
He just had a holiday every 2 weeks. Once a month, he'd just fly out and have a nice little holiday. I mean, lucky duck. Jeez.
I know.
Yeah, but that was great. That was called Diamond Class. The show was ancient. The numbers were ancient. The hotels we were performing in, like the guy who ran the company said, it's a 2-star show for 2-star people.
Yeah, that's a, oh wow.
You knew what you were getting yourself in for.
I know.
Like, yeah, we weren't in, you know, this wasn't the Radisson Blu that we were performing in. But it was great for learning how to put a show together. You know, it really helped me sort of hone in on, okay, these numbers work together, and they work together because, you know, so in terms of what are you learning from this, I learned loads and loads and loads about how to, as a drag artist with a microphone, because up until this point, I really was not into speaking to people on the microphone. I kind of trot on stage, do my number, get off the stage. And I hadn't at this stage really invested in any of the numbers. I hadn't sort of gone, what am I doing with this? Where's the jokes? Where's the point? What's the story? It was just go on and do something and then get off. And so having done that, it really helped me to sort of pull those apart, because I'm quite analytical anyway in how I approach everything. So it really helped me to be in a show that was successful and look at why is it successful? What is it that the things that people are reacting to and enjoying so much? Because, I mean, people would come night after night after night to come and see this show. You know, we were in different places, but I think it was like Tuesdays and Thursdays, we were always in the same bar, and it would be packed every single time. And it was because the people just loved the show. They loved it. So that was a really, really great learning point for me. I had no intention of going back after the season had finished. You know, it was 7 nights a week. The money was really good, actually, if I'm, you know, for what we were doing. and we were provided with all the costumes, all the numbers, all the makeup, and a car and accommodation, you know, so we were on a good deal. But I had no intention of going back. Like, I wanted to get back to the UK, get back into my dancing properly, go and work in a dance company a bit longer, because I thought, well, you know, as a drag queen, you can be in your 30s, no problem, and pick it up, you know, as long as you haven't, you know, as long as there's no major problems and you're still all right at what you're doing, then that's fine. But as a dancer, you have like a limited time frame in which to work, you know. So I went to all the auditions that I could possibly get to and still didn't get anything. Running dance classes, going to class myself, making work, but again, it just wasn't enough. I hadn't made enough money, so I went back, did a second season out there. Then halfway through the season, another friend of mine was like, I'm going to go traveling in India. I need somebody to work in the school that I work in to take over the dance classes. And it'll be teaching A-level performing arts and, you know, possibly some after school stuff and things like that. And I was like, oh my God. Because I just, like, if I had to go on that stage in a tatty Tina Turner wig doing, like, no. We're done. I am done now. This is enough for me. Groundhog Day cannot happen for me anymore. You know, so that's what happened. I went back to the UK and started working in a school. It was the first year. I mean, all teachers say this. All teachers. Your first year in a school will be the worst. And if you can make it through that first year, you will be fine for the rest of it. And that is absolutely true. Mine was particularly difficult because the head of department was off having a baby, so she was on maternity. There was another person covering who just didn't really communicate with me adequately, so I didn't really know what was going on most of the time. And I didn't like the other person in the department, Fran, the music teacher, who, like, after probably once the head of department came back, everything sort of changed, and suddenly Fran was talking to me and we were all working together, and it was like we were a team. But up until that point, it was just not, like, it was not it. It was, so that was super hard. And then I'd done it all right, like, they'd got decent, everybody had got decent results. The headmistress was pleased with my work, and they then asked me because I was only doing 2 days a week, they then asked me if I would come and do more time. So I was doing 4 days a week in the school, and then I was doing Fridays, Saturdays, and sometimes Sundays doing drag as well. And at this stage, so this is where it becomes really, really complicated. So when I came back for the second year to go and work in the school, the nightclub that my husband was working at, he was the manager. It had been on the ropes for a long time. Like, it had been, you know, really touch and go with it. And it was really the end, you know, it was right at the end. Now, there were probably a few months left of it, and then it was going to have to wind up. So I did some big charity events. They went really well, helped me sort of establish myself in the community, which was great, because there hadn't really been anything like that for a good while. You know, there hadn't been any charity community-driven events for a good while. So that just helped to kind of create space for me within that scene. You know, I was working in Stoke-on-Trent, and holy shit, Stoke-on-Trent is a hard crowd. If you can work it there, you can work it anywhere. Like, they will stand there with their hands folded and be like, right, go on, bitch, entertain me. what are you going to do?
Like,
But that's part of what I love about Stoke, that, you know, these people are hard. And if once you've cracked it and you've got them, they're there with you. You know, they're a brilliant crowd once you've got them, but you have to prove yourself first. So we were living with the person who owned the nightclub at the time. So this is why it's complicated. Like, my husband's running it. We're living with the person who owns the nightclub, because him and the owner had bought a house together. My husband and the owner had bought a house together. So we're all living in this house. The nightclub is failing. Eventually that goes bust. That then means that everybody's relationships go a bit sour. Paul, my husband, opens up another nightclub, and the worst bit was that the person who owned the club before had a really not a great reputation. Like, she was a real old school drag queen, so people would come in, she would be vile to them and quite often make people cry and uncomfortable, you know, which, I mean, for me, that's not what I'm there for. I'm there to entertain people. I'm there to help you have a good night. That's my kind of role in that situation. Not to make you feel uncomfortable and not want to come back. And all I heard from anybody, you know, whenever I said, oh, I live with Ruby, who owns the club, you know, they would just say the same thing. They would just say, I went in, she said this, I've never been back. So again, that was like another thing of learning from that and going, okay, I don't want to be that. I want to be something else. I want to be the person that makes you feel welcome, makes you feel like you want to come back. And make things happen. So we put on pantos and charity shows and, you know, drag competitions, and I did a drag school. And so we opened this new nightclub, and at this point I'm still operating under the pseudonym of Madame Paracina, and she talks like this. She's very Italian, you know, so she like this, which of course nobody could understand what the hell was going on. So in the first 6 months of opening this new nightclub, I did a Name the Drag Queen competition, and that's how Divina de Campo was born. That's where the name comes from. You know, people would come in, put their ideas in the little post box, and then I just went through them and was like, I think that's really strong. I think that's really strong. I think that's great to do it, and made a choice from that. So that's, and again, that was like another thing about the show in Ibiza was really interactive. It was very much about having people involved. Yeah. And so that's very much driven how a lot of my shows are. You know, I want people to be involved. I want you to be part of the action. And that's been a big part about, you know, just finding the name as well, was I wanted other people to be involved as part of that. So we did 4 years in Stoke, and at the same time I'm teaching in the high school. At the end of those 4 years, my husband is Australian by birth, and so he had wanted to move to Australia. So in this time where I'm working in the school, learning about how not to call people a fucking dickhead and be nice to people, you know, try and learn a bit of patience. So, you know, I was learning those things. I was not, I'm absolutely not an ideal teacher, because, you know, I say things that teachers shouldn't say. And yeah, you know, quite often I would say what's in my head rather than what you should say. And there is a difference, actually, as a teacher, quite a big difference. It's funny now because he messages me from time to time and goes, how are you doing? It's the prick. Yeah, exactly. I called this kid a prick. I said, look, if you're going to act like a prick, I'm not going to have you in this class. You're going to have to leave. So, I mean, he was just like, Well, whatever. But so, I mean, you know, I learned a lot over those 4 years about how to behave in public and with particular groups of people. And I've got to say that my head of department, Olivia Tassam, she was the best mentor. Like, I cannot give enough props to her. Like, I learned so much from her. She is the proverbial swan. You know, she is serene and calm and elegant and poised at all times while her legs are furiously flapping underneath. You know, she never gives the game away. And she taught me how to be much more like that. You know, I learned so much from her, which again was really helpful applying that to the stage. You know, they don't need to see you sweat. They don't need that. They need to feel like you're in complete control of what's going on, and they can sit back and relax. You know, they don't feel like, oh, at any moment something horrendous might happen. Yeah. No, it's all fine. Don't worry about it. So I'm a firm believer in, like, in life, there are things that will happen. You know, there's little pockets of events and experiences that you will go through in order to get, you know, to where it is that you're going. You know, everybody has a kind of path, and sometimes it's straightforwards and other times it's like left to right and left to right, and you don't understand it at the time, but it's giving you skills, it's giving you things that you need to be better. And that's very much what has happened for me. So we've done these 4 years. I'd been teaching in the school for 4 years. We've been running this nightclub for 4 years. My husband then is like, okay, I'm not really wanting to do this anymore, and I'd quite like to move to Australia. So he sells the nightclub to the manager, and we go to Australia for 7 weeks. I loved it. I was like, I could absolutely live here. And Paul was like, it's too boring, I can't do it. It's not how I remember.
Oh, wow.
Where in Australia were you?
Yeah. So we spent 4 weeks in Brisbane and up and down the coast. And then we did 2 weeks. We did 2 weeks in Sydney. Mm-hmm. And we were in Sydney just before Mardi Gras. And then we had, like, either side, we were in Singapore and then we were in Thailand, in Bangkok. So then we came back. I was still employed at the nightclub, so did a further year. And in that time, I stopped working in the school. So I stopped working in the school around the same time that we sold the nightclub. And when we came back, I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? Oh, this is like, oh. And then within a couple of weeks, I got offered a gig on a Sunday in Manchester and a gig on a Wednesday in Llandudno. So I just finished working in North Wales, and then I'm going back to North Wales immediately, but for something completely different. So I was doing this bar in North Wales, which somebody else had been doing, and then he'd gone, I don't know where he'd gone, Turkey, I don't know, somewhere like that, and just kind of left them and said, I'll be back in 6 months. So they just wanted me as cover. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. He thought I was trying to steal his job, and I was like, no, I don't want this. I don't want to be driving to Wales every week. It's yours when you get back. He never had it back, so I did 3 years at this pub, driving back and forward. And what I would do was, because we moved, because we'd sold up in Stoke, we moved to Manchester, to the flat that we're in now, that I'm speaking to you right now.
Ooh.
From. Ooh. 2 bedroom. Ooh. So I was driving from Manchester to Stoke to rehearse for the Saturday and pick somebody up, and then I would drive with that person. It was Candy Fierce I was with, and then it was Beverly Tight Lips, and then it was somebody else. Anyway, so I would drive to Stoke, we would rehearse, then I would drive on to North Wales, and then we would do the gig, and then I would drive back from North Wales to Manchester. So I was doing like 6 hours of driving, plus 2 hours of rehearsal, plus like, I think the gig, we were there for like 5 or 6 hours. You know, by the time we set up, done the makeup, everything was, you know, ready, and then packed down and gone. So it was like that was a full-on hardcore day. But again, really great experience. The pub treated us really well. Whether there was 100 people in there or 2 people in there, they still paid us. They never quibbled about money. I'm really, really grateful to them, actually. So I'd done 3 years with them. I was working in Manchester at what was then AXM and is now called Blue, on the Sundays. The Wednesday night at that same nightclub had a sort of rotation of people. You know, it'd been like a revolving door. They'd had one person, she'd gone to America, and then it had just been like in and out and in, and, you know, they just had continuously different people. And so the entertainment manager at the nightclub was like, look, I really want you on a Wednesday as well. I think you'd be great for the game show, and I'll pay you whatever it is, you know. So by the time I'd spent money on petrol and just the amount of time and effort and stuff for North Wales, I mean, I wasn't making any money at all, you know, because I was paying somebody else as well. So I was like, well, it'll save me a hell of a lot of time and stress, and I literally have to like walk down the road and I'm there. Fine. Okay. So I did that. I think I did like, I don't know if I did 3 years of doing that or 2 years of doing that. Because we've had the flat in Manchester for 7 years. So I've done 5 years in Manchester in total, because I had all these gigs sort of pick up, and then we'd moved to Manchester, and then within 3 months of moving to Manchester, Paul bought what became Kiki. It had been Queer, which was like, in its day, was the nightclub on the street. Like, it was the place. And it had sort of gone down a bit because there were lots of reasons, really, that it failed. But anyway, so we'd gone and had a look at it when it was still Queer. They wanted ridiculous amounts of money to buy it as a business. So we were like, nah, don't think so. And then they went bust. And then the building owners contacted Paul and Paul's business partner. So they opened Kiki. So then I was working at Kiki doing promo on the streets on a Tuesday night. Wednesday I would be in North Wales, on a Friday and Saturday night, and then on a Sunday night I would do a show at Kiki at 7, and then I would go down the street to AXM and do the show there, which was I think I was on stage at like 1:30 until 4, I think. Yeah, 1:30 till 4. And so I kind of did a variation on those things for 5 years in Manchester.
Wow.
And then Brexit happened. And we were like, well, we don't really want to live here forever. And we have enough money to buy, you know, another place. So we've been holidaying in Gran Canaria forever and ever. 12 years we've been going to Gran Canaria, and we had never explored the island. Okay. So there's like a gay mecca in Gran Canaria, the Jumbo Centre. That famous dinosaur. So we'd never ever been in all of those 12 years. Like, we'd never been anywhere but the hotel and the Jumbo Centre. You know, whatever hotel we were in, we'd stay there, then we would go to the Jumbo Centre, then we would go back. And that was it, you know. And we would holiday there at least once a year, sometimes 2 times, sometimes 3 times. So we were like, well, it's closer than Australia. We know that there's a gay scene. We know that there's things to do. And we have friends out there as well. So we decided we were going to have a look at places to buy out there. And the first house that we went to is the one that we've ended up in. We had a clear list of the things that we wanted. So I wanted somewhere where, if they needed to, my mum and her partner could live, you know, because mortgages and they mess things up and they couldn't get another mortgage. So they were going to have to move in the next 2 years anyway. So we found a house, tiny house, literally in the middle of nowhere. There's one house next door to us, and then another house like 400 yards up the road, and then the only other house that we can see is across the valley. You know, so there's 4 houses, and it's a tiny little village. And there were no roads to this house until 10 years ago, and the road that is there is just concrete. Like, that's what it's like up there, like nothing. Mountainside, nothing there. So what we wanted was somewhere where there would be space for my mum and her partner to live if they needed it. And Paul wanted a pool and maybe a chicken shed. So we went, it's 2 little houses and then a cave, which is like a big garage. In the back of it, there was a recording studio. Then there was another cave that was like a tool shed. We've turned that into a gym. There was a pool, 2 houses, and lo and behold, at the bottom of the garden, there's a chicken shed. So, I mean, it was like it was made. Yeah, exactly. It's like it was made for us. So that's home now. We had 2 years out there where I was sort of flying back once a month or once every 2 months to gig. And people like Jeremy Joseph were really good to me at GAY, giving me like a clear, okay, come once a month, do your thing on the Friday, and then, you know, go wherever you need to go after that. So it gave me like a focused, there's my dates, build around that. Great, fill the diary. That was nice. I didn't really make any money, but I wasn't really looking to be making money at that point. You know, I was just kind of, I wanted to take my foot off the pedal a bit. I was fucking knackered. Like, I'd been working a lot. Because the whole time we were in Manchester, we were both doing like 100 hours every week. Because I'd be sewing costumes for the shows on Sundays. We were doing a RuPaul's Drag Race thing, me and 2 other girls, and I'd be making the costumes for that, buying the costumes, sorting wigs, doing choreography, cutting music, while also doing solo stuff, you know. Yeah. And so you're rehearsing and you're putting things together, and then there's always, you know, charity things and other events that you have to be ready for. So I was really, really busy. And I was just knackered after 5 years. I was like, I don't want to give up. I just don't want to keep going at the pace that I am, because it's just too much for anyone. Yeah. I was about ready to die, kid. So I just wanted to take it a bit easier. So I had 2 years out there. Then, of course, and while I'm out there, the filming for All Together Now was happening as well. Right. So I had like, I think we did it over 2 weeks each September. So I knew that I had those 2 weeks in September where turn up, have your costumes ready, do the do, and then piss off again. So that was great, you know, keeping your fingers in and doing all of this stuff. And of course, while we were in Manchester, I also did The Voice. There was Voices of 4 thing. I did a bit for Jane and Friends. I did a bit on Countdown with Cherry and Ginger. You know, so there'd been loads of sort of really great TV nuggets just kind of going, can you do something about this? Yes, absolutely. I'm ready. Let's do it. so that was happening. And then while I was in Gran Canaria, I woke up one morning and on Facebook there was the advert for applying for RuPaul's Drag Race, and I was like, oh my god. And so I started the process for that, and I think that must have been July, because we were filming all together now. I feel like I was filming all together now. Maybe I wasn't, I don't know. I was in the UK though, when they said, okay, we want you to submit a video, and I think it was like the 19th or something, and I was flying home on the 17th. So I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? Oh my God. Because the video, like, the show itself is the most intense thing I've ever done. The application process is also probably the most intense application process I have ever been through for anything. It's hardcore. Like, you have to be ready. So I was like, oh my God, all of my stuff is in Gran Canaria. My camera, my computer to edit all of this is in Gran Canaria. I got home on, I think it was like the 17th. I got home at 7 o'clock at night. It's another hour to get home from the airport. So I was like, oh my God. I made an outfit that night, and then I planned out what the shots were going to be and everything I was going to do before I went to bed. Then we shot the video in a day. I edited it, and then because we're in the mountains, our internet connection is like carrier pigeon, like for real. So I think it was like 12 at night on the 19th, so going into the 20th, that it had to be submitted by. And it took 20 hours for my video to upload. Yeah, it took 20 hours for my video to upload. So it was literally like 2 hours before the cut-off that my video was uploaded, like finally finished uploading. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But like, that happens, and then you just have to sort of go, okay, file that in, done, move on, get on with the rest of your life, stop thinking about it, go and do other things. So I think, like, I've been making other work as well. We made this big theatre show, Dancing Bear. And that must have been over the whole sort of course of those 5 years, because the night that I was on The Voice was the scratch performance of Dancing Bear, and it snowed. We were in Bradford at Theatre in the Mill, so I had to drive back from Bradford to Manchester and it was snow, like a lot of snow. So I'd been making kind of theatre-y things in between as well before Drag Race, and I think, because I was in the UK, either I was trying to help my mum get rid of some shit out of her house, because for the next door, hello, what is all of this? Why do you need 67 teapots? Nobody needs 67 fucking teapots. So I think, I was helping them, and then I got the call to say, oh, this is going to happen, and I had to fly. So you get the call, and then they send you all the stuff about, what you got and what you need and all of that stuff. So I flew out to Gran Canaria to pick up all of my stuff, because obviously I'm in the UK, I don't have all of my stuff there. Flew out to Gran Canaria, made a couple of dresses out there, packed all the suitcases, flew back with I had 2 suitcases, and then I had to fly back again to get another 2 suitcases of stuff. All at the same time, on the phone to designers and dressmakers and stuff, and people that I know. Oh, I need your help. I'm doing a thing for all together now. Yeah. Okay. So just lying and people going, oh, is it for? Is it really? Oh yeah, I believe you. You know, everybody knows. So did that. Then Drag Race happens, and then it's just straight back in. Then you know it's back to 70 to 100 hours every single week, just slogging your guts out. And like now, Miss Corona has arrived.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not grateful, but I've kind of enjoyed the break.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like it's given me some time to just A, reassess what it is that I want, and B, just to have a bit of downtime. You know, we did when I think I've had Corona. I think I had COVID-19, but I think I had it late November.
Okay.
Because we were on tour with the Drag Race lot, and I get flu quite a lot. Like I'm quite prone to getting sick, mainly because I'm in contact with people so much. You know, I'm always talking and hugging, and people are kissing you and touching you, and you know whatever. So I get colds and flu and stuff like that quite a lot, and so I'm all right working through it. I can cope with it. It's fine. I take the paracetamol, I take the ibuprofen, and I just power on because got to be done. And for those 4.5 minutes that I need to do on stage, I can just go, okay. Tip and teeth and teeth and tips. Yeah. Like sweating profusely. But I'm there, I'm doing the thing, and then I'll get off stage and I'll lie in a cold, dark room and cry.
Yeah.
So we did the Drag Race tour, and it hit me on like the first day of rehearsals. It was like being punched in the stomach. You know, it was that instant how bad I felt. Like it just all of a sudden went, boom, you're really sick. And I'm saying I think I had it then because my throat was so dry. I was so dry with it, like unbelievably dry. And it damaged my voice. Like I lost the top 3 notes in my whistle. I lost the top 3 or 4 notes in my falsetto. And my full voice has just been so tired since then. Like really, really tired. So it's really, whatever it was that I had then, it's really affected my ability to do my job. Till now, really. Like it's only in the last 2 weeks that it started to come back and everything's working and it's fine again. So some of that might have just been like I was knackered, but I think more of it was because I was working whilst also being really, really sick. Like I was really sick. So after that would have been sort of December time. We went home for a little bit, and then I've just been again back at it. And I've been really, really lucky in that this year I've been able to make some music and release some tracks. I've done an EP, and I now have physical.
Great EP, by the way, I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm actually really proud of it. I'm really pleased with it. You know, there's things that I change on it, but that's the same with anything, isn't it? Because I'm so hypercritical of everything that I'll go back to stuff. And like on one of the tracks, I'm like a, you know, I'm the tiniest bit off the note. It's like a mini semitone. You know, I'm just off it. It's just a bend, but to my ear, it just sounds like
and it's all you can hear. It's like the only thing you can hear when you listen to it. Yeah.
And for the whole track, that's all I'm waiting for. I'm just waiting for this fucking note to go. I mean, you know, this is sound producers are supposed to be doing this shit. They're supposed to go, oh, that doesn't sound quite right. Let's just
little tiny bit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, just a bit kind. Yeah, but I've had such an amazing time with that, and then also doing the adult pantos and stuff like that has been so much fun. We had this year particularly the cast would it was like perfect. You know, everybody was so good. Everyone was so chilled but professional. You know, it wasn't like, nothing was hard work. We all just got on with it, and everybody got along really, really well. Like, we'd go for dinner, we'd have drinks, whatever. It was great. And that's been something this year which, in terms of my career, I've really, really enjoyed. You know, being able to work with lots of different people has been really great fun.
Yeah.
And
You
that
have those
kind of
adult
brings us
pantos.
up to now.
Yeah, the adult pantos, I didn't realise, back in February, I was back at my parents' house near Ulverston. You were in Ulverston, weren't you?
We were!
I didn't realise.
And the roof fell in on us.
Oh.
Ulverston was like the most drama-filled show we did.
Oh, wow.
It was so filled with drama. It was like, I mean, it was very Faulty Towers. Like, the guy who ran the venue, he turns up in his fucking DJ and his cravat and all of that shit. He starts unplugging the sound desk, like, which fucks all of the levels up.
Yeah.
So the sound technician was absolutely fucking raging, because that's thousands of pounds of equipment that you've literally just unplugged, and you could have blown up all the speakers and everything. All of us were working, like, the backstage smelt like cat piss and was damp, and there was just rubbish everywhere. We couldn't have a proper set because there was no proper curtain system. So we had, oh my God, it was so funny. We had this, like, curtain, you pull them across for, like, junior school shows.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it was. That sort of curtains on stands that you just pull across. Oh, now we're in a forest. And the best bit was the curtain didn't come up to head height. So like the top of my head was above the curtain all the time. Oh my God, so funny. And then, this is the thing. So the whole thing was like just crazy. And then halfway through the show, just as we start the second act, we're 10 minutes in, and the ceiling, it's absolutely slamming it down outside, and the ceiling has bowed, and it is now raining on top of somebody's head, and you can see the plaster all like bowing, ready for the roof to fall in. So the comic was like, guys, we're just going to stop because this is happening. So then we have like 15 minutes where we're trying to decide exactly what to do. You can't continue with a show because it's dangerous, obviously. Then in those sort of 2 minutes before we reach a decision, okay, this isn't safe, we have to stop the show, a fight breaks out in the audience.
What?
Yeah. So it's pissing down on the audience inside, and then a fight breaks out. Some woman decides to throw her drink all over everybody. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I'm in knickers and a bra and like fishnet on my top and my fishnet, and I'm running out going, stop it! We're not fighting! Stop this! Stop it! Stop it now! Stop this now! You will not fight!
Oh my God.
Yeah, Ulverston was crazy. And we were as well, because the venue that we're in, we were changing downstairs, and that's the Laurel and Hardy Museum.
Yes, yeah.
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 Yeah. So we were in the Laurel and Hardy Museum, surrounded by all of this memorabilia, and there are films going on in the background while I'm putting my face on no light whatsoever. So, I mean, it doesn't make much difference with my face, to be quite honest, whether I can see or not.
Lies.
Yeah, so the whole thing, Ulverston was just hilariously crazy. And I can't wait to go back, to be honest. You know, it was so exciting.
Is one of the shows in Barrow, if it goes ahead in September, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
I'm going to bring my mum. I'm going to come.
Well, so the producer is from Barrow originally. Yeah.
Gosh. That's where I went to sixth form. So.
Oh, well, you probably went to the same sixth form. I bet you did.
Probably. Gosh. Oh, and then I'm mindful of time. So one of the things that I want to do is just give Harriet an opportunity to ask you a question. So Harriet, do you want to ask Divina anything from your magic list that you've got there?
My little list, yeah. So since we kind of touched on Miss Corona and what she's doing at the moment, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on the current situation that we're all in and how it's affecting the LGBTQ plus community at the moment. Like, what are the conversations that you're having, like, with your partner and your friends, and just kind of what's the feeling at the moment, especially things like with Pride being cancelled in the upcoming summer, and those big events of celebration and community and love, and also, you know, even being able to go down to your local gay bar and watch a drag show on a Sunday night and be with your people. That's not happening at the moment, and I just kind of wanted to get your input on how you're feeling, how your friends are feeling, and the current feeling overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really pragmatic, so I'm one of those people who's very good at setting in my mind it's just for now, like it's not forever, and so I can see it's going to be all right, but at the moment we just have to go through this. You know, I was the same at school. It's just for now. I'm only surrounded by these assholes for the next 5 years, and then after that, I'll never have to speak to any of these fuckers ever again.
Amen.
So, but I know that there's lots of people who aren't as used to kind of operating in that way of going, I can make it through. I just need to do this right now. And I know that lots of people are struggling. And I also know that there's lots of people who are maybe stuck with family members or housemates who are not accepting, who will make things very, very difficult. And so to all of those people, I would say, like, online, you'll be able to find lots of support networks. There are lots of people out there helping. For me, like, much of what I've done, I've just started putting it online rather than, you know, having to rely on being in the room with people. And actually, I feel a bit like I've been more, I've had more communication with people now than I would have done before, if that makes sense. You know, more of us making an effort now to reach out and ring people and say, hey, how are you? Just checking in, making sure you're okay. And actually, that's been really, really lovely to experience that that side of things. Because I very rarely ring people. I always feel like when I do, I'm you know, fussing them. I'm in their way. I don't want to take up people's time, you know, and so generally I'll only ring if I know that we have something that we're doing together and we have to plan stuff and get things ready. Because otherwise I just feel like I'm imposing. So lots of the prides are moving online. So I know that Manchester Pride are doing like a weekly Friday night thing, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to be involved in that. Salford Pride is also doing the same. I think Bradford is doing the same as well. They're doing like an online Pride thing. And yeah, so I think a lot of the Pride stuff is just going to end up being online. The problem with that is obviously people who wouldn't go to Pride won't be exposed to it. Yeah. And that's, to me, the whole point of Pride. You know, that people who wouldn't ordinarily turn up at an event like that, it's there, it's in your community, it's in your town. It's, unless you lock yourself in your house, you know, if you go out that day, it's unavoidable. You're going to know that it's happening. Which, for those people, it just reminds them that we're here, we've always been here, and we always will be here. So come and have a party with us, because, you know, you might as well, could be dead tomorrow.
Might as well have a party.
Love it. Always looking on the bright side of things. So
Exactly.
thank you for your time with us today, Divina. The one last question I want to ask you, which every guest gets asked, is what would be your best piece of career advice for somebody listening?
Just keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. And where there are no opportunities, make them yourself. And that sounds, it sounds really flippant and really, you're not trying hard enough. But it really is. You have to make a lot of opportunities for yourself. And then once you work and work and work and work at it, people start to take notice. And that's what it is. You just have to keep going. Decide what it is that you want and focus on that. I wish that I'd been able to do that earlier in my career, and to really focus on what is it that I want to do and focus on that. I've been trying to do a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this, a bit of that. And it's meant that it's taken me longer than other people to get to this position.
Yeah.
I mean, I've enjoyed the journey. I've had a great fucking time doing it. But I would be further ahead in my career if I just focused on drag solely from the beginning.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Okay, well, we will love you and leave you to get back to your raucous evening in your flat.
We go. She's crazy. I'm going to fuck this violin up big style.
Love it. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.